I didn't really know how to tell her. There's no gentle way to tell her really, I guess. So I just said to her, Mum, I've got something to tell you, and this look crossed her face, and I knew that she knew what was coming. And I just knew that I was going to disappoint her so much, and it was so hard to know the pain that I was going to inflict on my parents. So I just said to her, Mum, I'm pregnant. And she was quiet, which is really hard, because sometimes quiet's worse than an angry outburst or tears. And she just said to me, I'm not going to raise your baby. And that was really hard to hear. I guess it began when I did the pregnancy test, and everyone's like, oh, you'd be so unlucky if, you'd be so unlucky for anything, for you to be pregnant. And it was the most surreal, weirdest feeling looking at that stick and going, this can't be happening. I can't be pregnant, I'm only 19. But telling my dad was just, I couldn't tell my dad, I just couldn't do it. I kept saying that I would do it and putting it off and saying that I was waiting for the right moment, but I don't think there's ever really a right moment for that. But then when we did talk, he was crying, which you don't really want to see dad crying, because, they're the ones that I guess are the protectors and the strong ones of the family. But then he finished off that conversation by saying that they would support me unconditionally, and they would be there with me 100%, and they still accepted me. That was a huge burden off my shoulders. I guess I realised the next step was I had to go and tell Ian, the guy that I was seeing, the father of the baby. He dropped the F-bomb and said that he wasn't, his first response to me was, I'm not ready to be a dad. And I guess, I was like, well, I'm 19, at least you're 32, you're not at the beginning. It's not your first year out of school, and I haven't had a chance, I'm not ready either. He said to me, well, you're gonna go get an abortion, aren't you? But an abortion has always been, for my family, it's just not something that you do. A point came up where me and Mum had a conversation. She had come into my bedroom and I had just been crying, which I was doing a lot of. She said that if I wanted to, that she would take me to get an abortion, which was a pretty massive shock, because your parents are the ones that you look up to sort of tell you what's right and what's wrong, and I'd grown up knowing, I guess, that abortion was wrong, and so Mum saying, I'll take you and it will stay between us and no one else has to know, that was really hard. And that sort of, I don't know, it made me, before I was really like, I can't have an abortion, I just can't, it's not even an option. But Mum saying that, it sort of made it an option, like it made it something that I could consider, because if Mum's okay with it, then that changes it. It was sort of funny the way that actually researching it made me more certain than I was before that I didn't want to do it. And I just remember when I was reading it, and the part where it said that they use tools to vacuum it out, I remember thinking about when you vacuum up spiders, and people tell you when you vacuum up spiders, they die when you vacuum them because they're just torn apart. And I remember having an image just of a baby just being torn apart and thinking, how can I do that? How can I kill a baby like that? How does anyone do that? And just the coldness of the process, it's just a cold, sort of heartless process that just confirmed it for me that it wasn't something that I could do, because I knew I couldn't live with that, and I knew that that's not something that I could recover from. Ian and I had a lot of arguments, I guess, over what he was going to do and what I should or shouldn't do. and he really wanted the best for me. And so it was hard to argue with him about not having an abortion, because I knew that he cared, and you know, he wanted us to have a chance at our relationship. I wanted to make him happy, but I had to do what was right for me and what was right for the baby. And at the end of the day, the baby's opportunity at life was probably more important than our needs. Going to the ultrasound, I think, was a big moment for both of us, because he saw the baby and we heard its heartbeat, and it was the most amazing experience and completely changed both of our perspectives on it. And you know, it changed it from being sort of like this dilemma and this, you know, source of anxiety, to being a baby and being something like solid and physical and beautiful. I was just terrified, you know, because I didn't know the first thing about being a mum, and it's never something that I'd wanted. I was scared of what my friends would think, because most of my friends are Christians, and I don't know, you're supposed to get married first and then have babies. That's just the way it goes. I had lots of really supportive friends that told me that I could do it, and all of them, you know, were so accepting and so gracious about it. Knowing that God had it under control and he could see what was coming was a really big it was a huge comfort. The moment she was born and I looked at Ian and he just had tears streaming down his face and he's holding his baby girl, and that's just nothing that compares to that moment. I love my baby girl more than pretty much anything else in the world, and I wouldn't trade her in for anything, and I'd make all the same decisions to get her again.